So we're back with nerd shit, and today's actually going to be a little bit different. So we're not going to be. I was going to talk about the concept of teleportation and how it could actually work, but I decided not to because I want to tell ghost stories instead. So, what you guys probably don't know is that I definitely believe in ghosts. Like 110%, because I've experienced that sort of stuff and it's absolutely terrifying, and I'm going to share it with you. So I have parents, of course I do, but my parents live on this property. It's like 14 acres and it's kind of in this like little podunk town, and it's really creepy, and there's not really like any backstory that I am aware of other than a few things. So first off, we're going to talk about the little house. So on this property there is a little house, just like a barn dominium, and then there's a pool and a garage, and then there's our house. Our house wasn't moved there until later, but the little house and the garage and the pool were already there. So the thing about the little house is we don't know who built it or how long it's been there. It's just been there for a really long time. We repainted it and remodeled it like probably when I was like an age, one of those ages. Young, that's all that matters. and that the people who lived there beforehand lived in that little house. The thing about it though is that it's really freaking creepy. Everybody I've ever met who I've asked about the little house, they always tell us that place is like screwed up. There's something wrong about it. It's like off. It's off somehow, which I agree. So here's the backstory that I learned later on. There were people who lived in that house. It was a couple, a husband and a wife, and they lived in the little house, but it was so bad, whatever it was so bad that they didn't even sleep in the little house. They slept in the garage. Now, the garage, it's now a game room, so it's like, livable. But before that, it was a garage. It had like barely any insulation. It was like not even completely built out. It flooded every single time that it rained because it was at a slant, and so water would just rush in and it would flood it. It was horrible, like not a very good choice to sleep in, but they made that decision because whatever it was that was in the little house was awful enough to make them not even want to sleep there. So aside from that, nothing really grows at the little house. We had a greenhouse. Nothing has ever grown in that greenhouse. It's like the perfect place. It's part sun, part shade. It's got really like fertile grass and land there, so it doesn't make sense that nothing would grow there. We've planted like tons of different plants. So little house is creepy. We've also had several things, like people say they've seen things in the little house, or that they've like felt this presence, which you can feel when you go there. Like when you pass the threshold between the pool and this like huge 200-year-old tree, it feels like there is something watching you and that it does not want you there. And it gets even worse at night because that threshold expands. So like when I like go out at nighttime, I'd have my flashlight because my mom would always send me and my brother out and be like, go turn off the pool pump. And we're like, I don't want to do that. It's scary out there. Not because there's like no light, because there is light. I mean, we had a cabana built later on that had like would shed light on the whole thing, but it's still really creepy. So we go out there and it just feels like you're being stared at and like something wants to kill you. So that's one thing. The other thing is my old bedroom, which used to be my sister's old bedroom. And this kind of was, it's a weird experience. So when my sister moved out, I moved in and was like, cool, bigger room, because that's like all that mattered. You're a teenager, you just want a big room. It also had a really big closet, so that was cool. So I moved into that room, and the second I moved in there, it was awful. I would have these horrible nightmares every single night where I could see myself sleeping. Like, I was like laying on my bed, and I'd see myself sleeping from like up in the corner over here, and like watching myself. And in my dreams, my closet door would open like way over here, and the like entrance door was like over here. So I'm up here, my body is down there, and my closet door is over here. And the closet door would open, and this little girl would come out, and it was like, she was like just a regular little girl, for the most part, and she would creep over to my bed. She wouldn't like creep like on all fours or anything, she'd just walk over there. But the thing was, she'd just stand there and stare at me, to the point where like she was like right next to me. So I'm watching this, I'm up here, my body's down here, and she's literally right next to me. And in my dream, I'd wake up, and like I would stop dreaming. I'd like be completely cognizant, and I'd wake up. And when I woke up, I would see her still. Like, I'd be like laying on my back, and I can see her staring at me. And the thing that like really terrifies you is that this little girl doesn't have any eyes. And it's not like her eyes are like black, like demon eyes or anything. The whole socket is just non-existent. There's nothing there. It's terrifying. And she had this like really creepy grin on her face that looked kind of forced and really painful. And like she would cry, and when she cried, it'd be this really gross black tar and stuff. So that went on for literally months, like 3 or 4 months, to the point where I just did not sleep, because every time I woke up, I'd see her. And it was a very similar experience to having sleep paralysis, which basically is when you wake up, your mind is awake, and well, partially awake, and you tend to have visual hallucinations, and you feel this heavy weight all on your chest. Except for me, it's more like your entire body is going numb, like you can feel it going numb. And that's how I knew that I was going to have sleep paralysis, or at least that's how I know now, because I've learned how to prevent it. But every time I'd wake up, I'd feel that, and I'd see her, and I'd just be scared shitless because she didn't do anything. And like, you know, like when you're watching a horror movie and you expect a jump scare or something, and it's like nothing happens, and you're just sitting there with all of this suspense and no release for tension, and you're just like, "Ee." That's exactly what it was like. And it would never change. Every single night that would happen until I just didn't sleep anymore. Well, that ended up happening. I stopped sleeping. It was actually Christmas Eve. I stayed up the entire night, and I was talking with a friend or thing, and like jacking around on DeviantArt, because that was what my 15-year-old self liked to do. And I remember being in my bed and being on my laptop as the sun comes up, and my mom comes into my room and knocks on the door and says, "Wake up! It's Christmas morning. Time to get your presents." And I go out there, and I'm like dead ass tired. I go out there, get my presents, and it's like this ball scarf. So I'm like, that's cool. So I go lay in my mom's bed, because why not? And for some reason, I was under this impression that if I'm not sleeping in my room, in my bed, then maybe it won't happen. Well, that's a dirty fucking lie, because the second I fell asleep, I was dreaming, or at least I'm pretty sure I was dreaming. I couldn't really tell. So I was laying in my mom's bed, and she's like on the ground doing yoga or whatever, and my eyes are open, and I'm looking at the foot of the bed, and this like skeleton demon starts crawling up from the foot of the bed and starts running towards me like on all fours, and it's like going like sort of stuff, and it's the most terrifying thing ever. And it wakes me up, and I get up and I look down at my mom and I'm like, Mom, did you see that? And she's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, guess I was just dreaming. So that's one of the things, one of the bigger things that would happen. The other things were, you know, like stuff falling down from not even a precarious place, things getting knocked over, things moving, music boxes turning on without any known reasoning. For instance, doors closing like randomly, or opening and then closing randomly, or things being moved, knocking, footsteps, breathing, lights turning on and off. It was an experience. So one of those experiences, like when I was dating, I had a boyfriend, and it was like my senior year. By this time, I was fully aware of the evil goings on in my house, and I was just like, whatever. I had started practicing witchcraft because that was really the only way that I could prevent anything from happening, like that was too scary. So basically, after the sleep paralysis was forcefully ended by practicing witchcraft, because that's what I did. That's like how I stopped it. I started putting up sigils and stuff and like preventing anything from coming into my room. Then things would start moving around in the house and stuff. So like I would be on the phone talking to my boyfriend late at night. It's like 2 or 3 in the morning, and I leave and I tell him like, hey, I'm gonna go get a drink, and I leave and I close the door, and you could hear me walking out and leaving because my phone was like cool back then. It wasn't a crap China phone. No offense, China, I love you. You make a lot of stuff and I really feel bad for all your workers. But like, you could hear me leaving, and I'd come back and I'd hear him yelling my name. He's like, hey, did you come in here? And I'm like, no. I was like, well, I heard footsteps coming towards the phone and like breathing into the phone, and I'm like, well, that wasn't me. You know, chalk it up to Jeffrey the Door Ghost. Another experience that I had was, I, being a dumbass, was like, I'm gonna draw Jeffrey the Door Ghost. Now, I've never actually seen what Jeffrey the Door Ghost looks like. I've only really ever seen his feet, and they're like blue, and they have long toenails, and they just kind of hang off of the ground, like they're like floating a little bit. And so I was like, let's just draw Jeffrey. So I draw him, and I didn't draw his face. I just like cut it off. Like I basically was like, he had his head cut off, even though that's probably not what happened. And so I guess I really pissed him off, because that next morning was Saturday, and I wake up to one of my music boxes playing, and it is the most terrifying thing. I'm just laying in my bed praying to Eddie and all gods to like save me because all I hear is this like really slow music box, and I like peek over my covers to see if my room is shaking or anything, because it's a mobile home. Whenever the washing machine is going it's too heavy, there's too much stuff in it, it shakes the whole house, because mobile homes do that. So that wasn't happening. And I also looked to see if my mom was in there anywhere, and that wasn't happening either, because my mom has come into my room and like turned on all my music boxes and like tried to scare me and stuff, but that really doesn't work, because then I wake up and I see her. So, but like, nothing was in there, and the music box was just going, and I just laid there and like was crying and so freaking terrified until it stopped. And I don't even remember what happened after that. I was just too scared to do anything. Now, that's not the only experiences that have happened in our house. We've actually had other things happening to other people. So, one instance was when I was in color guard. We had this guard party, and we had like all of the freshmen at the pool, and it was like really dark. And I hadn't told anybody about like how scary my house is, really, except for like the seniors, and so they didn't really tell anybody. But we dare them to go out into the pasture and get these pillowcases or pillows that were used earlier that day by my brother and my cousins to play baseball. So we're like, whatever, it's a harmless dare. They got shoes, they can just go out there and pick stuff up. So we send them out there with some flashlights, and they go out there. They get the pillowcases, and they're on their way back, and they stopped for some reason, and they're waving their flashlight around. Now, we were going to scare them, so we were all hiding under the edge of the pool, kind of like just peeking over, watching them. And one of the girls that's in the pool with me just starts screaming. She's like terrified. She just starts screaming, and like we all like jump further back into the pool, and then we like look further up again, and we're like, what happened? She's like, I saw feet. And we're like, well, yeah, there's like 4 people out there. And she's like, no, I saw an extra pair of feet out there. And we're like, that's terrifying. So that's one thing that's happened. Another thing is my brother's friends. We're all friends. Me and my brother and all of his friends, we're all friends. But he has a lot of sleepovers, and they usually stay up pretty late, but sometimes they don't. So one night they're sleeping in my brother's room, and the friend is actually sleeping on his bunk bed, and my brother's like on the ground or whatever. And they wake up in the middle of the night, like the whole lights off and everything. Nobody's awake. And they look down from the bunk bed, and they see a head of hair. Not like somebody laying on the ground, like somebody is standing in the doorway. They see somebody stand in the doorway and just staring out into the room. And then they walk away. And that's like what it was. That's what they saw. And I'm just like, nope. 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 Another experience that this happened once I started moving out of my bedroom into the camper. I took all of my stuff. I took all my witchcraft stuff, and I actually moved all of my witchcraft stuff before I moved myself, because I was like, that's no big deal, because I forgot that I had put all that stuff up for a reason. So I was laying in my bed, minding my own business. I was just gonna go to sleep. Like, my room is entirely empty. Like, there's my fish tank, and that's like it. So, which doesn't even have fish in it because he died. He got stuck on a little rock. Poor guy. But, so I'm laying in bed, and it feels like the entire room is just so thick. Like, the air in the room is so heavy that it feels like it's like pushing on you, like you're suffocating, but not like your lack of air. It's like it's just so pressurized is what it feels like. And I'm laying down, and all I can think of, like, for some reason, all I hear in my head is just get out, get out, get out, get out, get out. And it just gets angrier and angrier and louder. And it's like this buzzing, like zzz, like getting really loud. And so I'm like, okay, bye. So I get up. It's probably like 12 o'clock at night. I get up, and I just go out my door, take my blanket, take a pillow, and take my dog Sabo, because I had a stuffed dog. I still have a stuffed dog. She's precious. But I take my crap, and I just go sleep in the camper that night. And that's like the first night that I started sleeping in the camper. And then the next day, I go back inside because I was going to get something out of the closet. I don't even know what it was. I think it was like a sleeping bag or whatever. I go into the closet, and the second this is full daylight. The second I cross the threshold from my bedroom into the closet, I hear this like static. And I nope myself right the fuck on out of there, because I was just not down for it. Like, I'm like, nope, and then leave. Like, this is me, this is my door, and I go, nope. It was the most terrifying thing ever. And later on I realized, because I asked somebody about it, and they're like, oh yeah, we put some dead walkie-talkies in there. I'm like, dead? That means they're not working, which means the batteries are dead, which means they should not be turning on, but they did anyways. So another thing is, after I moved out and I took all my witchcraft stuff out, things had been getting worse, particularly throughout the house. So my parents would see things move, or they'd hear like noises like this or whatever in the bathroom or in the kitchen or just other places. They would just hear it and they're like, was that a mouse or like a rat or whatever? What is that? So that like started increasing like a lot. And then one time I was laying in bed in my parents' bedroom and I was watching TV and I was like kind of falling asleep. I was just watching like freaking Monster Hunters or whatever on the Travel Channel, because that's what I like to do with my time. And I hear this in the bathroom and I'm like, what is that? So I go look, because it sounded like somebody had taken the shampoo bottle or the body wash and just picked it up and put it back down, which makes no sense because that's not even like physically possible if you like don't walk into it, pick it up and put it back down. Like there's no way that would work. And so I go in there and I'm like, oh, you know what, maybe it's the cat, maybe he knocked on something or whatever. The cat's not even in there, so I'm like, Jesus Christ, I'm gonna die. So I go back and I sit down and I'm watching TV, and out of the corner of my eye there's this bag of clothes that my mom had brought home from like a trip to Chicago or whatever, and it was like full of clothes. And out of the corner of my eye I just see it go from like over here and just goes, and I like focus on it real quick and I'm like, did that just move? Because I saw it move. Like I saw it move, and it was like had like 2 or 3 like piles of clothes, not like piles, but like 2 or 3 articles of clothing in there. So I was like, that just doesn't make sense. So the other thing is, it started getting really, really bad, and so I, being the witchcrafty person that I am, was like, I'm going to sage this house. So I sage it, and my parents freaking make fun of me, and I'm like, it's not gonna help you if you make fun of me like that. Of course, it gets worse, and the hilarious part is my dad. He's like, oh well, she saved the house. She blessed it, so nothing bad can happen. Like it can't be a ghost because she saged it. And I'm like, well, dude, it doesn't work if you make fun of me the first time I do it, and you don't believe it. It's like the whole concept of that crap. That's how it works. It's like we just. So, yeah, I have yet to go back there and do any like witchcrafty stuff, but I do really want to go back and do a video with like an EVP session or something, because it's terrifying. And one of the really creepy things is like I will have dreams where I am like laying in my bed or laying wherever, very far away, and in my dream I literally go back to the house at night and I see the person in the little house, which is terrifying. I'll tell you about that story. But I see her and she's staring at the house, and like I get so terrified that she's just gonna turn and look at me like with like really angry eyes and then come and follow me back. Like, that's terrifying. I mean, it doesn't make any sense because like the only reason that I would let her come back is if I would let her come back. But screw that shit. That's not gonna happen anytime soon or ever. But the other thing is, like, when I started practicing witchcraft, I also got into astral projection, which I mentioned earlier, maybe that I thought that when I would have those dreams of the little girl that came out of my closet, I was astral projecting and I could see her in the spirit world or something like that. And so one night, I'm in the camper, surrounded by all of my precious witchcraft articles and stuff like that, and I am meditating and I practice astral projection. And I end up leaving the camper and I go around the property and I end up going down to the little house, and I guess the thing down there caught wind of me and came and followed me up to the camper. It couldn't get in because I had it locked down. No, there's no way that it could get in. But that night I had a dream that the same entity that I saw when I was astral projecting came to me at the house on the property and was trying to choke me. And the difference is, like, I usually only have sleep paralysis when I see the girl with no eyes, because, like, I've just been now conditioned to be terrified of her. But this one is different because she has eyes. They're white. They're like white, like glazed over, like she's got really bad cataracts or glaucoma or something. So that was really different for me. I've gotten used to sleep paralysis to the point where I can I straight up tell the thing that I know is causing the sleep paralysis to go away. Like, that's what I do in my dreams. If I see whatever it is, because it's usually a girl and they usually have no eyes or like not able to see, and they usually look really scary. And if I just look at it and tell it to go away repeatedly, then I will get myself to wake up. And then I wake up and I'm like, bye, bitch. So, yeah, I mean, like, there you go. There's a scary story for today. I hope you enjoyed those. Let me know if you guys want me to do a video back at my old house where I do EVP sessions and stuff like that and terrify the crap out of myself, because I like to hurt myself. Bye, guys.